Welcome back to Bat and Cat Chat.
We're back with another episode of, this is kind of a weird one again. It's a podcast episode that you're recording.
So we're back with Nikki. We are going to be doing another special bonus episode. So if you remember from when we did this before, we brought Nikki on to Bat and Cat Chat, or more appropriately, me and Nikki brought Clay on to Two Girls, One Review.
We had just annexed the show material, so, it is what it is.
So we're going to be doing a very special episode today. And I do want to, at the top of this, just kind of put a small little content warning. We are going to be covering some sadder, more sensitive topics. And my heart goes out to all of the fans of Power Rangers, because today we are going to be talking about Jason David Frank and everything that he meant to the Power Rangers community and the fan base and what that meant to fandom as a whole. So I hope you're excited for the episode. I know that we are, because Jason David Frank was an awesome dude, and we're excited to look back on the amazing life that he led.
Yep. But, I guess we'll throw it off to y'all.
All right, get ready for the episode.
First bonus episode past season 3, Rachel.
I can't believe that we're here. Like, first of all, we've done 3 seasons now. We just closed out our 3rd season. Oh my goodness.
Wow.
And yeah, wow. And now we're getting back into our bonus seasons where we just talk about whatever comes to mind, whatever we're feeling like we want to talk about. Because again, this is our podcast. We'll talk about what we want to.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not always about movies. Sometimes it's just about what's going on in the world, kind of like today's episode.
Yeah, today is a very sad episode. We'll try and keep it cheery and light where we can, but today is a pretty dark day for a specific fandom, the Power Rangers fandom. And everyone that loves and grew up with Power Rangers, I grew up with Power Rangers, I know you did. Our special guest that we have today definitely grew up watching the show and is still a huge fan. And it is with much sadness today.
So, unfortunately, it was actually about last night, as we're recording this, it was found out that Jason David Frank passed away. And he was the biggest member of the Power Rangers community, acted for 30 years, and it literally probably raised me just as much as my parents did. But that's basically what changed the episode, because we were originally going to do a comparison. So
Jason David Frank was an amazing man. He meant so much to the Power Rangers fandom as a whole. He loved them. He never left them, really. He loved his fans so much, and I just think that's such a wonderful show of character, and just he really embodied Tommy, and it's such a sad day to see him go, and especially when he had so much left to give as far as the fandom went, and just the life he still had ahead of him. And it's just a tragedy that he's gone.
It really is, and that's why we want to change the dynamics of this episode, just because it is so raw and still so deep, that this literally just happened late last night, and we're changing the dynamic of this episode. So just wanting to put a warning out there that anybody who is not ready to feel any kind of sadness today, this is probably not the episode to be listening to. So just wanting to put a warning out there before we get started. But without further ado, well, thank you, Clay, for joining us today on this bonus episode. It's always such a treat when you get to join us.
Oh, yeah. It's always fun to go on. Of course, this time was supposed to be a happier episode, but it's always interesting that you have to put a disclaimer in front of me.
Wait a second. Yeah, okay. Maybe the next time we have you,
we need to talk about something happy, like Minions or I don't know, Life of Pets, something, anything but
I'm fine
I
with it.
got
I
a
have a
good
bad
one
filter.
for us. I got a good one. When we're ready to cover these specific shows, we can make it a fun episode. But whenever we decide to do maybe a montage of Simpsons, Family Guy, American Dad, Cleveland Show, all of that, Clay, please come back for that episode, please.
Sure.
Yes. Let's make sure the next one has a no disclaimer at the front of it.
Yeah. But as we were talking about in the introductory of not only our podcast episode, but at the same time, this episode is also really special because we're filming again, which is going to end up on the Bat and Cat Chat channel. So
Yes.
make sure if you have not subscribed to Rachel and Clay's channel, you please do so. Give them a like, give them a thumbs up. That is a like, that's the same thing. But go subscribe.
It means
Honestly,
the world to us.
yes, it does.
Pokemon openings,
yeah.
gameplay. We have all kinds of stuff. So please come check us out.
So we're blending the episodes as we have in the past, and we figured again today's episode we want to focus so heavily on just this really heavy, I don't even know what to call it, an anvil hanging from our hearts today. I don't know.
There's definitely a heavy weight on our hearts today. When we found out, I literally jumped out of my seat because I was completely relaxed laying down, and Clay just was like, I'm looking into this, and I think that my hero has passed away. And I literally just jumped up and I was like, no, there's no way. This has to be some kind of nasty rumor or something, because it was just so sudden and out of nowhere. He was 49 years old, and so it's just so sad that he's gone, and it's just so sudden and shocking, just shocking.
Yeah, it blew my mind because like he's literally got his own project coming out in 2023, and they've been working on that for like 3-4 years. It's finally his adult Power Rangers.
I remember us being at a convention where he was at a panel, and you were literally asking him questions about it, and he had to pretend that he
Didn't
had
exist.
no idea what you were talking about. And oh my goodness.
He was a good actor then too.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, we grew up with him because he was a huge star in the 90s, and over time life happens, but he still has managed to absolutely love his fans and treat them just with so much love and care, because there's so many celebrities that they kind of go on, and it's an unfortunate thing that happens where some of them are really don't care as much about their fans, I would say. And he wholeheartedly loved his fans. Every single con that you saw him at, he made time for everybody in line. I never got to, unfortunately, meet him in person at any of the Comic Cons that I've been to, but I've just heard amazing stories from on the online fan base, from you both.
We've been lucky enough to get to meet him twice, and both times he was just absolutely wonderful. He again made time for everybody. I've been to conventions and have gotten to meet other celebrities, other voice actors and actors for different fandoms, and very many of them are very much like, oh, I'm on a time limit, like just like get your signature and get out of here kind of deal. And I mean, no shade to those celebrities either. I understand that you have a lot of people coming to see you, and sometimes you're just trying to make sure everybody gets their autograph, but the way that Jason David Frank went out of his way to make sure that he spent time with each of his fans to listen to what they had to say, and was so gracious every time.
Oh, he'd literally like he had a policy where he'd either wait until the last fan that was in line would see him before he'd leave, or they'd literally kick him out of the building. And I mean, there's YouTube videos all over the place where the security was dragging him out because he was just trying to see the fans. So
That's amazing. That is just so heartwarming, because it really goes to show how much not only do they love their fans, but they also see how much their fans loved him.
It was absolutely amazing. And even those experiences before getting through the line and actually getting to meet him and have that moment, it was just great standing in the line and being with the other fans and just getting to hear the different reasons why Jason David Frank was their favorite Power Ranger, or the moment that they knew that the Green Ranger was their favorite. It was great to get to experience those moments.
It's kind of surreal.
Right? Even being in the same room as somebody that you absolutely just love, and it's one of those things where you can't get close enough to ever touch them, and getting that interaction with somebody who you just admire so much is just so heartwarming and one of the coolest things ever. Especially with some of the celebrities that I've had the encounter with, it's definitely just such a cool, surreal moment. And the fact that you both got to meet him twice, no less.
And it's amazing that we really got to meet him in the environment that we did, because again, this goes back to why Jason David Frank was such an amazing man. The conventions that we met him at were incredibly small. The first one that we actually met him at, it was the first time that this convention was being run in our state. It was Power Rangers Stop and Pop, or
Ranger Stop.
Ranger Stop. Okay. Well, I think it was
Ranger
yeah.
Stop and Pop.
Yeah, Stop and Pop. Yeah, I knew Pop was in there somewhere.
Spin off from the Florida convention.
But they had the convention in Florida a few times, but they had never had done it in the state of Georgia before, and it was the first time the convention had ever been run there. It was incredibly small compared to some other conventions I had been to, and the fact that he still was like, yes, I'm showing up to this. Like, it's not like Comic-Con or Dragon Con or one of the bigger ones that you might normally see him at. He was still there just because this is where the Power Rangers fans were at.
So you think of, certain, whether it's not even celebrities going to, say, a con of any sort, but also, I don't know, bands, things along those lines, any other performer that travels to see their fans. A lot of the times they'll skip those more smaller cities just because they think, oh, it's not going to be as big of a turnout. Again, I don't want to put any words in anyone's mouths.
No shade to any celebrities
No.
who only make time for the big ones. We also understand you have large schedules and stuff to
Exactly,
do,
yeah.
but like,
But the fact that I'm getting to is just that he took the time to actually stop at all of those small cities to see every one of his fans.
and that's really what made him truly special and truly a standout amongst not even just celebrities in general, just amongst the Power Rangers. He was really the coolest one.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's in 7, 8 different seasons as a main character, and that's more than anybody in the entire series. So that's.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he just recently came back 2 years ago again. So.
I remember watching him early, and I think it was the first Power Ranger movie that came out. It went to theaters. It was so exciting, and he's always going to be Tommy to me. He will always be one of my favorite male Power Ranger characters. And then Kimberly's my favorite female character.
Yeah, that's actually who she ended up playing when we did a little tribute on our channel that went up today. So.
Oh, that's so fun.
Yeah, we ended up playing the Power Ranger. What's the name of the game? It's one
It's
of
a
those.
side-scroller
It's
game.
one of those little side scroller beat 'em up games, and we played one of those. And Clay got to play as the White Ranger, who was also played by Jason David Frank as Tommy, and I was Kimberly, which. She was just like kind of giving these like little sarcastic comments during the game, and I was like, see, this is how I would react in the Power Ranger universe. Like, are you kidding me? A giant monster again?
Yeah. It's always such a sad moment for when any celebrities pass away. It's always kind of a day of darkness for the fan base just because you've had such a life of knowing this one specific celebrity, and you've seen them, whether it's on TV, radio, you've heard them over the radio, things along those lines, and then it's just to think, wow, I will never get any new content with this person. That's how it felt with Chester from Linkin Park when he passed away. And it was,
Mm-hmm.
whoa, we're never going to get a new Linkin Park song with Chester. And that's giving me goosebumps right now just thinking
Yeah,
about that.
it was an absolute tragedy when we lose these people who really just love what they do so much and love their fans so much. And I feel like this year, and I know when I say that we lose celebrities every year, and
Mm-hmm.
it's always a tragedy, but I feel like this year has been really rough. As far as fandom goes, we've lost Hagrid this year, and
I
I know
know.
that we actually recently started rewatching the Harry Potter movies, and I almost went into tears when Hagrid came to pick up Harry because I was like, oh gosh, but before we started, I forgot, and now that I'm seeing him, it just my heart hurts. And
Mm-hmm.
we lost Kevin Conroy as Batman, and that
Yeah,
one really hurt.
The voice of
The
Batman for
voice,
most people.
yeah.
I know.
And again, he was so in touch with his fan base,
Yeah.
just
That was just a couple weeks ago.
exactly. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just so sad to lose these people who we essentially grew up with and feel like
Yeah.
family to us.
Even the news where he's not necessarily an actor, he had a few spots, but Aaron Carter, that was such a shame to hear about
Yeah.
his
You didn't
passing.
know about that?
I didn't. Wow.
He, I think he was in his 30s. I could look it up to be
He was so
fair, but
young.
so young, and somebody who really just went through the ringer at times, and he was really trying to make a comeback for himself. And that is something that I've seen online is he loved his fans, and anywhere that he went and saw his fans, he took the time to talk with them. And it's just a shame, it really is, about him and his recent passing too, because that's really raw too. That was just what, a couple days ago or a week ago, depending on.
I think it was like just about a week ago. I remember it wasn't that long ago. It's such a
Mhm.
tragedy. It's always a tragedy when you lose a loved one or a celebrity like this
Mhm.
that you cared about so much, who cared about their fans so much, and then but then when they you lose them so young, it's just
Yeah, it
it's
hits
such a
another
tragedy.
note.
Yeah.
Mhm. And then you think also where this comes up is the celebrities, no shade, but any celebrities that are in their 80s, 90s years old. And it's just sad to think, oh my goodness, what am I going to do without that actor or actress,
Mhm.
singer, whoever?
Mhm.
Um, it's a really dark, I would say, way of the circle of life. That's an unfortunate thing that I wish wasn't the case.
It's a whole different story though when they're 80 to 90 and you're kind of like,
Hmm.
oh, well, when's it going to happen? Not being morbid, but just,
Yeah.
It
and then versus 30s, 40s. And it's like, wait,
Hmm.
what?
yeah, and again, like I said, when I found out, I literally shot up in my seat because I was just like, "There's no way." He had a whole life ahead of him.
I kind of deadpanned it to you too. Couldn't process
I
it.
think you were still in shock. I think you still kind of are in shock.
Oh, I'm pretty sure I still am, yeah.
That's how it was when we heard the news about Chadwick, and I said, no way.
Oh my goodness.
My heart was broken when I heard about that because I said, oh my goodness, Black Panther is one of my favorite superheroes, and I also love Batman, but man, that hit really hard just because of, yeah, how young he was.
I can never remember what number phase we're in, but whatever phase the first Black Panther Phase 4, Black Panther was probably one of the best movies of Phase 4 in my opinion. It was really well done and just such an enjoyable watch. And just out of nowhere so suddenly he was just gone and it was such a
Hmm.
tragedy.
That movie was a really good tribute for him, though.
No spoilers or anything, but there were multiple moments where I almost cried and multiple moments where you could literally hear a pin drop in that theater. People were just so silent in those moments where it was very much a nod and a moment for Chadwick Boseman and everybody was just lips shut it was really rather beautiful, if I'm being entirely honest.
Which that's kind of a, not to ruin the moment, that's a change of pace for movie theaters, and why I stopped going to them is because nobody stops talking or they're
Nobody.
snoring.
Yes, it's just so like everybody is so inappropriate in theaters nowadays,
Yeah.
and we went literally opening night for Wakanda Forever, and when I say the amount of respect that was in that theater for Chadwick Boseman, it was immaculate.
Mm. It's definitely a very bittersweet ending to, I would say, his Black Panther storyline. And it's a movie that I still need to see. I haven't seen it yet. And I am very excited to see what they have done for Chadwick. And it's just such, again, such one of those things that's really hard to think about with Jason, too, is that it's still, this is so raw and so new because it happened so many hours ago.
Oh, I think they just broke the news like 2 or 3 hours ago on the official Power Rangers thing.
It
So
it was, and that's another thing too. I want to like point out that Jason David Frank had so much respect, not like just from all the people around him and the fan base around him. I think it was handled very well the way that the news was broke.
oh, the second that like the rumors started coming out, everybody that actually like had met him or anything were just shutting the internet up. Like, hey, just
Don't say
say
anything.
your
Wait, yeah,
respects.
like
Like,
keep it respectful. Just wait until we hear something more solid from a more reputable source, and let us don't blow it out of proportion before we know anything. And I think it was handled very well.
and unfortunately,
Yeah.
the rumors were true. So
Yeah, there was a news article, news, quote unquote, from a specific source that I saw and I said, really? And then I had to go check multiple other sources and I said, that's not right. You should take that down or re
Mm-hmm.
edit what it is that you put the title as. I'm not going to say it because we don't know what he has passed away from. So I'm not going to pay any attention or give
Mm-hmm.
any thought to that. And so I think it's also a moment of, if you hear a specific celebrity has passed away, check multiple sources,
Yes.
because I'm sure there's been plenty of celebrities where news is broke, they have passed away and they're still very well alive.
Yes. And
Jackie Chan comes to mind, where he had to actually hold up a newspaper with today's date to prove he was still alive, like 5 years ago.
Wow.
and
Point.
I think the thing that people forget a lot of the time is these are real people with real lives and real family members who are affected by these kinds of things. So to blow it out of proportion or even to start a rumor like that is just not appropriate. And it was very nice to see that the fan base handled it so well and was just like, no, we're not, like, be respectful. These are real people. Jason David Frank was really just the face of Power Rangers, and just to have him not be here to be that anymore, it's like the end of an era.
It's weird, that's for sure.
Definitely it is, because we all grew up with him. And so, again, goes back to the fact that, okay, we will not get any more content from him. And it's just kind of really sad to think about. And then I think something else worth talking about, because this is also new news that recently came out, is the news about Chris Hemsworth and how he is, I don't remember what the exact number was, but Chris Hemsworth is way more likely to develop Alzheimer's when he's older. And that is so sad to think about in that sense, just because he's taking a break from acting. Because obviously, anybody that would get some kind of news such as that, yeah, they need to take a break, some time to breathe and
Mm-hmm.
spend time with his family and his kids, his wife, his brothers, his parents. And it's just so sad to think about. Wow. It's another big
Mm-hmm.
kind of slap in the face that, yeah, he hasn't passed away, but it's something to think about. Wow, the aging process, if that makes sense.
No, that does make sense.
So what you're talking about actually reminds me of like Roman Reigns and a few other wrestlers where they had to force retire really early. Roman Reigns came back, but he had to battle with leukemia. There's been multiple wrestlers that's permanently unable to wrestle again from neck injuries, back injuries in their early 20s. And it's like right when a celebrity gets that peak of, oh yeah, this is the person I'm following and everything, it's weird when that effect happens.
Yeah, one other singer I can think about is Tony Bennett, who is currently in the, I don't know what stages he is of his Alzheimer's, but he and Lady Gaga had a final concert together where it was really him, but she was there supporting him because they've been longtime friends for I don't know how long, but probably since the beginning of her career, I imagine. And so it was something that they did together, and it was kind of uh, a way to close out the chapter of his
Mm-hmm.
singing career.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy to think about just all these celebrities that have not only developed specific, as you mentioned, of life altering illnesses or diseases. It's just really something it's a bummer.
It really is.
On a less morbid side note, without Jason David Frank being a Power Ranger and the Power Rangers in general, y'all never would have had Sailor Moon.
No.
That literally was
Yeah.
the same company.
Oh, 100%. That's originally what this episode was supposed to be, was the parallels between Sailor Moon and Power Rangers. And honestly, we still could chat about just how crazy those parallels are, because Power Rangers' original intent was for young boys, and then they have obviously the pink Power Ranger, the yellow Power Ranger, and it makes it more for young girls. Because I loved Kimberly. I dressed up as her one year for Halloween. And then you have Sailor Moon, where it's all complete total girl power.
Yes.
Hey, there's Tuxedo Mask.
Tuxedo Mask shows up to give some nice words of affirmation and then
Yeah.
Oh, he
leave.
throws a flower.
He throws a flower.
Yeah, so that's what's really unique and cool, because there's just too many similarities.
I would even argue that, and I know that Jason David Frank obviously is not the creator of Power Rangers or Super Sentai or anything like that, but I would argue there are even parallels as far as dedication in the creation of it to the fandom.
What I'm really surprised about is why they never made an actual hardcore movie release where it was in theaters. I know that they've re-released the VHSs to theaters where you could go in, and there was movies as well, but nothing that was as huge as the first Pokemon movie that came out years ago in 1997 or something, or why there hasn't been a TV series or a movie where they are live action characters. I know they do live action plays and things like that in Japan, and I'm just curious why they haven't attempted to do it here in
Well, they
America
did.
yet.
They did that one time. Did you see the full pilot for the original Sailor Moon that we almost got? That was almost the Sailor Moon that we got. I think was found again earlier this year. It might have been late last year. But some fans had found the original pilot for it wasn't fully live action. Half of it was going to be animated, but it was kind of in that same kind of much more in the realm of Power Rangers, where it was just gonna be live action high school teenagers with
Lesson of the week.
attitude, that kind of thing going on in
They animated it.
in the real world, and then when they transformed they would become animated, and they literally were Sailor Scouts. They had these like little boat star skipper things that they'd fly through space in and whatnot, and it was atrocious. It was absolutely awful, and it was almost the Sailor Moon that we got.
It's
So
like if you would have put
be
Sailor
careful what you
Moon-
wish for.
If you would put Sailor Moon, Who Framed Roger Rabbit in a blender and then threw it off a cliff, that's what
Oh
it came out
god,
with.
it's so mean.
I mean, or you could look at the live action Dragon Ball Z film that we got.
I ignored that existence.
I forget it
Exactly.
exists sometimes.
But my point being is why we haven't had a live action version that actually is good. It's great quality. It's probably because fans would probably have an uproar if it wasn't done well or if the casting was terrible.
I think it would be really wonderful, and I'm sure there would be plenty of haters. But I think it would have been really cool if there was at some point a crossover between the two, where and that could be like the live action episode for Sailor Moon. I don't know, but I think it would be, especially considering if it wasn't for Super Sentai and Power Rangers, that we would not have Sailor Moon at the capacity that we do today. I think it would be really cool and interesting to do like a crossover episode where the Sailor Scouts actually were with the Power Rangers and they did a whole episode together.
That or having the Power Rangers get turned into cartoon characters in the style of
Yeah,
Sailor Moon.
that would be super cool.
You got a much better chance of that happening.
Or even do a little bit of both. Have to do like a multiversal travel. I don't know. We did it with this is such a stupid example. We did it with the Fairly Odd Parents and Jimmy Neutron, where we went through two different styles of media and did a whole thing where we kept going back and forth. We could do it with Sailor Moon and Power Rangers. Why not?
See, the problem with that is that was done at a time where animation was actually respected. And now,
I argue it's very much respected today. We get a lot of good animation nowadays.
look at what Fairly Odd Parents is now.
You're right.
Well, we won't talk about that.
I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to. I saw an ad for the new Fairly Odd Parents recently, and I was like, this is what we're doing now? I'm just going to turn the TV off. Thank you.
Well, this was a very sad episode, but also we wanted to just pay our respects and say how much we have loved having Jason with us for as many years as we have had. And we are just thinking of his family, his kids, any of his friends, the fan base, everybody just during this really difficult time. And we send our condolences from Two Girls, One Review podcast.
Our hearts go out to y'all, everybody who knew him, everybody who loved him, the fan base. He was an amazing man, and he will be forever missed.
Yeah. And Clay, thank you for joining us. So sorry again. It is on more of a sad note, and let alone we needed a warning again for this episode.
That's fun. Thanks for having me, because it's always fun being on the podcast. Y'all do such a crazy fun job with this thing. So, like, I do subscribe.
Aw.
So, but always nice to come on.
Well, with that, I think we have said everything that we can say. Again, Jason David Frank, rest in peace. We loved you. And until next time,
Until then.
bye. All right, well, I think this was a pretty fun kind of episode with Bat and Cat Chat and Two Girls, One Review. Even if it was a little bittersweet.
Definitely a good shout out over to your friend Nikki for letting me come back on, because
Thank you, Nikki, so much for having Clay on Two Girls, One Review, and thank you so much for coming on to Bat and Cat Chat for this lovely episode.
I allow you to come on? What is that? No, you are always allowed.
I mean, I do come with a disclaimer. I say a lot, so
Don't worry, I'll bleep that out.
That's your YouTube. That is not allowed on Two
I waited
Girls
till
One
I waited till the podcast was over. It's been such a serious episode that y'all recorded for your podcast that
we had to have something light at the end to
it's a fun
ease
channel.
the mood. Ease the mood a little bit.
For sure. But thank you for having me on your YouTube channel again. Love when we get to just collab and get to cross that multi-dimensional, I don't know what I'm trying to say, as you just mentioned in the episode, Timmy and Jimmy Hour. The fact that we get to just collab and work together, and I get to come make an appearance on the awesome Bat and Cat channel, and then Clay gets to come make a sound appearance on our podcast.
We need to get you on for an episode for video games when we can figure out team chat. So
honestly, when we can do multiplayer stuff, it'd be fun to do an episode where maybe we play Mario Kart or something. That'd be a lot of fun. All right. Well, it's been a bittersweet but fun episode. It's always fun to have you on the show, Nikki. But until then,
see ya.
Bye.